Hello students, we are learning lesson number 3, living life processes in living organisms, part 2. Life processes in living organisms, part 2. And in this, before this we have studied some points related to the reproduction. So in that reproduction in unicellular organisms, asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms, asexual reproduction in multicellular organisms, and some related points we have examples also we have studied. Amoeba may be there, paramotion may be there may be there, then again fungus may be there, again hydra, planaria, cycon, again spirogyra. So these organisms we have studied. So what type of reproduction takes place in these organisms we have studied, and that reproduction is the asexual reproduction, and asexual reproduction is the fast reproduction. And today we are going to study about sexual reproduction in the living organisms. So next point is there, sexual reproduction. Next point is there, sexual reproduction. So this point we are going to study, and this sexual reproduction in plants. Generally we'll see what is mean by sexual reproduction, and then we'll see specifically sexual reproduction in plants. So sexual reproduction, in that 2-3 things are there. First one is there, sexual reproduction occurs due to the fusion of male gamete and female gamete. So there should be 2 gametes. One is their male gamete, another one is their female gamete. So if these male gamete and female gamete these are fusing, then union of these male and female gamete takes place, then fertilization occurs, and then after fertilization zygote formation takes place. So in this sexual reproduction occurs due to the germ cells or reproductive cells. Sexual reproduction occurs with the help of 2 germ cells, and that 2 germ cells are there, male gamete and female gamete. So sexual reproduction involves 2 steps. First one is their gamete formation, and second one is their fertilization. There are 2 steps in the sexual reproduction, and these are gamete formation and fertilization. So in the gamete formation, 2 gametes are produced, that is a male gamete and female gamete. So male gamete is produced by male organism, and female gamete is produced by female organism. So, and these male gamete and female gamete, these are produced by meiosis. The type of cell division is there, and that one is their meiosis. And in case of the meiosis, and that meiosis is their haploid type of cell division. That means chromosomal number is reduced to half. Haploid type of the division takes place, cell division takes place in case of the gamete formation, and the male gamete and female gamete, these gametes are produced, and these male and female gamete, these are totally haploid. So next point is the fertilization. Second step is the fertilization. In that, when male gamete fuses with female gamete, then zygote formation takes place. Fusion of male gamete or union of male gamete with female gamete, it is called as a zygote. It is called as a fertilization, and after fertilization it results into the zygote formation. So definition you can do, the union or fusion of male gamete with female gamete and formation of zygote, it is called as a fertilization. Or fertilization is a process in which male gamete and female gamete fuse to each other and produce zygote. So that zygote afterwards, that zygote divides by mitosis. And that zygote get converted into embryo. So these are the steps involved into the sexual reproduction. 2 steps are there. Again, one more important thing is there, when male gamete fuses with female gamete, zygote formation takes place, fertilization takes place, and after that one thing you can observe, that whatever young ones produce, new individuals produce, these individuals, they are showing some characteristics similar to their parents, some characteristics similar to their parents, but some other characteristics are not similar to their parent. That means these characteristics are different because their genetic recombination takes place. Genetic recombination takes place, exchange of the genetic material takes place in the meiosis, and because of that diversity in the living organisms is also observed, and because of that genetic variation or genetic recombination, these organisms, they can survive or they can exist into the environment, so it is helpful. So sexual reproduction is or genetic recombination or genetic variation is important for the existence of the living organisms and for the evolution of the living organism, for the evolution and existence of the living organism, and because of that they will not become extinct, so they will survive within the environment. So genetic variation takes place. So we'll see these points. In case of sexual reproduction, first point is there, sexual reproduction occurs, sexual reproduction occurs with the help of gametes, or you can say germ cells. Sexual reproduction occurs with the help of gametes or germ cells, and that is male gamete, also called as a sperm, and female gamete, it is also called as a eggs. So sexual reproduction occurs with the help of gametes, two gametes, you can say, with the help of two gametes or germ cells. One is male gamete, one is the male gamete, also you can say sperm cell, and another one is the female gamete, you can say eggs. So next thing is there, next point is there, or this one only will take, and now sexual reproduction occurs in two steps. Suppose sexual reproduction occurs in two steps. That is, first step is there gamete formation, and second step is the fertilization. So gamete formation, the male gamete, that is sperms, and female gamete, that is egg cell, are produced. Egg cells, these are produced by meiosis. That means, and the second point is there. Male gamete and a female gamete are haploid. Male gamete and female gametes are haploid. So male gamete and female gametes, these are produced by meiosis, reduction type of the cell division, and these are haploid in nature. So next point is there. Next step is there. This one is the step first. Step number first. And here step number second. So in case of the step number second, fertilization. Fertilization. So what is fertilization, that we will see. The process of fusion of male gamete with female gamete and the production of zygote is called as a fertilization. So in that, the union of male gamete with female gamete to produce zygote is called fertilization. Is called as a fertilization. The process of union of male gamete with female gamete to produce zygote is called as a fertilization. And in another word also you can write the fusion of male gamete and a female gamete to produce zygote is called fertilization. Okay. Second point, B point is there. After fertilization, zygote formation takes place. Then zygote divides by mitosis and forms embryo. Zygote divides by mitosis and forms embryo. And embryo grows and produces new individual. So like this way, there are two steps into the sexual reproduction. First one is their gamete formation, second one is the fertilization. Again, important thing is there in this. So this one you can write, and the next point or the next important thing is there. What is the next important thing? That one is the advantages of sexual reproduction. Advantages of the sexual reproduction. So let's see. Advantages, or you can say characteristics of sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, again IMP points you can say here, or you can say characteristics. So in this sexual reproduction, in that first thing is there, young ones produced by sexual reproduction shows some similarities with their parents, but they show some different characters then when parents due to genetic recombination due to the genetic recombination. So this genetic recombination is important word. Due to the crossing over also you can see, due to the crossing over. Some characteristics are similar but some characteristics are different from the parents. Then these are called as a genetic variation, genetic recombination. Second point is that due to genetic variation, these organisms can survive themselves into the changing environment. Due to genetic variation, organisms can survive in the changing environment. Third point is there. Crossing over is important for the evolution. Fourth point is there. Due to genetic combination, organisms does not become extinct. Okay, so these are the advantages, or these are the characteristics, or you can say also advantages, advantages of sexual reproduction. Okay, so after this we are going to study about sexual reproduction in plants. Next point we are going to learn, and that one is the sexual reproduction in plants. So next point we are going to study, and that one is the sexual reproduction in plants, and what type of reproduction takes place in plants, that one we will see in detail. So next point is the sexual reproduction in plants. So all of you are knowing plants are autotrophic in nature. They can synthesize their own food. They are having chlorophyll. So photosynthesis occurs in the plants. Again, you are knowing what are the parts of the plant. So in the plant, root, stem, leaves, flower, fruit. Root, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. These are the parts of the plant. But out of these parts, one of the important part of the plant is their reproductive. So that reproductive part of the plant is the flower. So flower is the reproductive part of the plant. And in that flower we are going to study different points. So it is clear, flower is the reproductive part of the plant. Again, that flower is made up of, it is having 4 floral whorls. Flower is having 4 floral whorls. Now which are these floral whorls, that one will see. Calyx is there, corolla is there, androecium is there, gynoecium is there. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. These are the 4 floral whorls present in the flower. And out of that one, calyx and corolla, these are the accessory floral whorls. Androecium, gynoecium, these are essential. Androecium and gynoecium, they are taking part into the sexual reproduction. And calyx and corolla, they are supporting They are supporting or they are protecting inner orals. They are protecting inner orals. So they are called as accessory floral orals. Again, next important part is their calyx, corolla. In that calyx is there. Calyx is green color. It can also do photosynthesis. Corolla is having various colors, variously colored. And then androecium is the male reproductive part of the flower, and the gynoecium is female reproductive part of the flower. Again, after this, next point is there types of flower. In that types of flower, first one is there bisexual flower. So flower which is having both androecium as well as gynoecium, these are called as the bisexual flowers. And unisexual flower, in that flowers which are having either androecium or gynoecium or any one of them. They are having androecium or gynoecium or any one of them, either androecium will be there or gynoecium will be there, then it is called as a unisexual flower. So bisexual flowers example is there hibiscus, China rose plant. And unisexual flowers example is there papaya flower. So next one is there, after this next point is there another type of the flower is there pedicellate and sessile flower, non-pedicellate. So if a stalk is there downside, supporting stalk is there downside for the flower, then you are saying pedicellate flower. And if stalk is not there, then you are saying sessile flower, pedicellate and sessile flower. So again, important point is there members of androecium or members of calyx are called as sepals, members of the corolla are called as the petals, members of the androecium are called as a stamen, and members of the gynoecium are called as a pistil. Okay, so these parts we'll study in detail, we'll see. So first thing is there first point is that you can say flower is a reproductive part of flower, reproductive part of plant, reproductive part of the plant. Again, important thing is that second point, flower has 4 floral whorls. Flower is having 4 floral whorls. That is, which floral whorls are there? Calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. 4 floral whorls are there. Calyx is there, corolla is there, androecium and gynoecium. And these are arranged. Now these are arranged from outside to inside. Outside to inside. Outside to inside. That means outer member is the calyx, then corolla is there, androecium and gynoecium is inside only. So again, one more important thing is there. So in this accessory whorls, so calyx and corolla are called accessory whorls because they do not take part in a sexual reproduction. They do not take part into the sexual reproduction. cannot take part into the sexual reproduction, and their role is the role of calyx and corolla is to protect inner orals. Role of calyx and corolla is there to protect inner orals. Again, important thing is there in this B point, you can write members of calyx are called sepals. Members of calyx are called as the sepals. Third point is there members of corolla are called petals. Then next point is there D point, you can say. Okay, one more thing you can we'll take separately. One thing we'll do separately, we'll take calyx members of calyx are called sepals. Next thing is there calyx is green in color. Calyx is there green in color. Then corolla. So in case of the corolla, members of corolla are called petals. Members of corolla are called as petals. Corolla are variously colored. Corolla are variously colored. They may be having different colors. So next thing is there, suppose B point, you can take essential orals. Essential orals. So which are the essential orals? So in that, androecium and gynoecium are essential orals because they are involved in sexual reproduction. They are taking part into sexual reproduction. Again, about androecium, members of androecium are called as stamen. Members of androecium are called stamens. Members of androecium are called as stamens. And now, second thing is there in this stamens are male reproductive part of flower. Or androecium is the male reproductive part of the flower. Now see structure of the stamen. So like this way, stamens in these pollen grains are there. Here this one is the anther, this one is the filament, this is diagram of stamen. Diagram of stamen. So these points are important. These points are important. So essential orals in that androecium is there, and in that stamens are made up of stamens are male reproductive part of the flower. Stamen is having anther. In that anther, pollen grains are there. In that anther, pollen grains are there. Stamen, and in that filament is there. So next thing I am going to write here, that one is there. Next one is the gynoecium. Next one is there, gynoecium. So gynoecium. In that gynoecium, you can write here members of gynoecium. Members of gynoecium are called. Members of gynoecium are called stamen pistil. Are called as a pistils. Second part, pistil is female reproductive part of flower. So pistil also you can say, or gynoecium is the female reproductive part. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. Again, structure of the pistil. Pistil has ovary, style, and a stigma. Pistil structure is there like that. Here, downside ovary will be there, and like this way stigma will be there. So, and in this, many ovules are there. So, in this, stigma, then here style, and this one is there ovary. So this is the gynoecium. Essential floral orals in that androecium and gynoecium. These are reproductive parts of the flower. These are the reproductive parts of the androecium, gynoecium. These are the essential orals because they are involved into the reproduction. They are reproductive part of the flower. So after this we are going to study about types of flower. Next third point we are going to study, and that one is there, types of flower. So we'll see types of flower, and diagram of flower also will draw. Diagram of flower also will draw. So in that next point, third point, you can say types of flower. What are the types of flower in this? So these types of flower are depending upon presence of androecium and gynoecium, and another type is there based on stock. So based on androecium and gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium. So first part is there in this, first type is there based on. So in that first one is there bisexual flower. Bisexual flower. So bisexual flower, in that the flowers or the flower having both reproductive parts, both reproductive parts, that is androecium and gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium are called bisexual flower, are called as a bisexual flower. An example is there hibiscus or China rose flower. Hibiscus flower or China rose flower. And second one is there unisexual flower. Unisexual flower. In that definition you can write the flowers having either androecium or gynoecium. Androecium or gynoecium are called unisexual flower. Unisexual flower. Okay. And in that unisexual flower again two types are there. Male flower. Flower having only androecium. Androecium is called male flower. And a female flower. In that flower having only gynoecium is called female flower. Gynoecium is female reproductive part, female flower. So next type is there based on pedicel. Based on pedicel. So pedicel, or you can say stalk. Pedicel or stalk. So flowers which are having stalk, these are called as a pedicellate flowers. The flowers, first type is there pedicellate flower. Pedicellate flower. The flowers having stalk or pedicel is called pedicellate flower. Pedicellate flower. And second one is there sessile flower. Sessile flower. In that, or you can say non-pedicellate. So flowers which are without stalk are called as a sessile flower. Flowers without stalk are called sessile flowers. So up to here we'll see, and a diagram also will draw for the flower. In that we are knowing Suppose basically this one will be calyx. From that calyx you can draw like this way. Okay. Okay, so like this way, this one is their corolla. Now middle one ovary will be there, middle one ovary will be there, ovary, and from here ovary is there, and here stigma is there. So stigma, and here some anthers are there. Anthers. Like this way, anthers are there. So, and here one stalk will be there. So you can write the names. This one is the stigma. Then this one will be style. This one will be ovary. Again, this one will be stamen. So like this way you can draw the flower. You can draw the flower. In that, if here stalk is there, stalk, you can say pedicel. Stalk also you can say pedicel. So in this we'll see outermost oral is there, calyx, then corolla is there, then here androecium, stamen also you can say androecium, stamen, and this one total style you can say here ovary. This one is ovary, you can give name here ovary. So total style, stigma, ovary, it is called as a gynoecium. Gynoecium. So like this way you can draw the flower. So now next part we are going to study, and that next part is fertilization or pollination. We are going to study fertilization and pollination. So up to here you understood, I think. The next one is there, next point is there, and in that next point we are going to see what type of, how that pollen grains are transferred from one flower to another flower. Okay, so that one we'll see. So just give attention. Next point is the fourth point. Main fourth point is there. Main fourth point is there. In that, pollination. Pollination. So, pollination, how takes place? What do you mean by pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma, it is called as a pollination. The process of transfer of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is called pollination. Is called as a pollination. Process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. From anther to the stigma is called as a pollination. Again, so this in that anther pollen grains are these are transferred to the stigma. These pollen grains these are transferred to the stigma. So pollination. In that next point we will see types of pollination. Types of pollination. So in that types of pollination, two types are there. First one is there, suppose A1 is there, self pollination. Self pollination. In that self pollination, the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of one flower, anther to stigma of flower of same plants, of the same plant is called self-pollination. Is called self-pollination. So the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower of the same plant is called as a self-pollination. And second one is the cross-pollination. Cross-pollination. So in that pollen grains are transferred. Pollen grains are transferred from flower of one plant to flower of another plant of same species. Pollen grains are transferred from flower of one plant to the flower of another plant of the same species. It is called cross-pollination. Cross-pollination. I think you might have understood. Here same flower or another flower of the same plant, and here one flower to another flower, but here one flower of one plant to the another flower of another plant. So from flower of one plant to the another flower of another plant of the same species is called as cross-pollination. Next point is there pollinating agents. Pollinating agents. So what are the pollinating agents? That one we'll see. Pollinating agents. So next point is there pollinating agent. Pollinating agents. So during the pollination, pollen grains are transferred from anthers to the stigma, but for that some non-living or abiotic factors are also important, and some biotic factors are important. So pollinating agent in that biotic agents. So which biotic agents are helping? In that insects are there, and animals, insects and animals. In that insect, in that you can tell honeybees and butterflies. So they are helping to transfer pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower. And next, abiotic agents, in that water and wind. So pollen grains from the anther, these are transferred to the stigma, anther to the stigma with the help of water and wind. It is called as the abiotic agents. So after this, next point we are going to study, and that point is the fifth point, and that fifth point is fertilization. Next point is the fertilization, and we'll see that point. Next point we are going to study fertilization. So what is meant by fertilization in the flower? What type of fertilization will take place in the flower? Double fertilization you are saying. Which fertilization? Double fertilization. So fifth point is there. Main fifth point is there. Fertilization and zygote formation. Fertilization and zygote formation. So we'll see. So in case of a fertilization and in case of the zygote formation, when pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma, at that time that pollen grain germinates there and it develops pollen tube. So we'll see. In that first point, after pollination, pollen grain germinates. After pollination, pollen grain germinates on the stigma and develops pollen tube. Second point, pollen tube carries two male gametes. Pollen tube carries two male gametes. Okay. Into it towards the ovary. Third point is that ovary contains many ovules. These ovules forms embryo sac. These ovules are forming embryo sac by meiosis. Fourth point, embryo sac contains one egg cell and two polar nuclei. One egg cell and two polar nuclei. Okay. The next point is the when pollen tube reaches to embryo sac, its tip bursts and two male gametes are released. Two male gametes are released into embryo sac. Then 6th point is that one male gamete fuses with egg cell and forms zygote. Fuses with egg cell and forms zygote. And another male gamete fuses with polar nuclei and forms endosperm. Zygote and endosperm. One male gamete fuses with egg cell and forms zygote, and another male gamete fuses with polar nuclei and forms endosperm. Next thing is that since two male gametes are involved in the fertilization, so this fertilization is called double fertilization. Is called as a double fertilization. And diagrams will draw now in case of diagrams. So first thing, suppose like this way, ovary is there, stigma is there. So when pollen grains will fall here, then it pollination, you can say. So this one ovary, this one ovule, here pollen grain is there. Then germination will take place. Germination of pollen grain will take place here. Pollen grain germinates and pollen tube is formed. It contains two male gametes. This one is there, pollen tube. It will develop here embryo sac. Again, this embryo sac will show here. Now pollen tube. In next step, pollen tube will reach to the embryo sac. Pollen tube reaches embryo sac. Now this embryo sac will show here. In this embryo sac, Suppose this one is the embryo sac. In that, here egg cell, here one nucleus, and here suppose polar nuclei. So here fusion will takes place. It will form endosperm, and here it will form zygote. So this one is there, embryo sac. So like this way fertilization will occur. And why it is called as a double fertilization? Because two male gametes are involved into the fertilization. One fuses with male gamete, another fuses with female gamete. Then it is called as a one fuses, two male gametes are there. One fuses with a female gamete, that is egg cell, and another fuses with polar nuclei. And the last we will see 2 points only, and these 2 points are there. After fertilization, ovules are converted into seeds, and ovary is converted into fruits. Okay, so remaining part we'll see in next video.